All right, what up, what up, what up? Another episode of Ball N Biz. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Jeremy. Welcome back. Another episode where we're always talking about ball because, we're former D1 athletes and, of course, business because we're in our young 30s. We're trying to get this paper up.
Yes, sir. So right now, we got a special guest today. We're going to bring him in just a couple minutes. But, Jeremy, let's hit our usual news and notes section. First of all, when it comes to the business side of it, interest rates, Fed it's supposed to give an update on Wednesday. Don't know if they'll change it or not, but that's going to invest and impact some real estate. I know we're coming into the winter months. Coming out of the winter months. So buying usually heats up. We'll see if it does. But obviously, it's been some interesting times, with home buying and real estate, all that, mainly because of interest rates and other factors as well. When we look at the sports side, though, Jerm, we're talking March Madness, a lot of hoops coming up. And I don't know if you've been watching some of these conference games, but I've definitely been tuned in. I think I know what I'm doing this year, but, we bring in the expert to really help us out. We're going to bring in our big dog, Matt Schumacker here. Matt, go ahead and give yourself a quick introduction. Tell us who you are, why you're an expert, why we're calling you an expert in college hoops.
I don't think Henson has ever called me Matt in my entire life. So that's number one. It's good to be with you guys. I'm getting to the end of my college basketball season working for ESPN, doing play-by-play for every league that ESPN has, from the American to the SEC, ACC, and everything in between. And I'm excited because I think there's some clear top tier teams in this tournament, and then I think there's a ton of parity after that. So I think we're going to have a lot of entertaining rounds as March Madness kicks off as early as the first four. I think the first four has some really intriguing matchups, especially Texas Xavier, two teams that kind of just snuck in, that I think especially Xavier could make a little run if they get out of that first four round.
I like that. Yeah, Texas, they definitely had their life in their hands, and they're coming in that big the SEC championship. I actually got a little bit to say about them, but let's go bracket by bracket. Each corner of the bracket, four of them will start in the South there. That's where the number one overall Auburn is going to be headlining. Who you like in this bracket? What do you when you see some of these teams? Who you like over here? Who you don't like?
I really like Michigan State.
Shu dropped out on us for a second. Michigan State, obviously a tough team. You know who they do have that I do like? I like Jason Richardson, old NBA guy. His son's on the team.
Lil Richardson.
Player for balling. Yeah, he is balling. So here's Shu back. Shu, you say you like Michigan State. You like the Spartans?
Yeah, my bad. Somebody was calling me. I like Michigan State, but I will say this. They have a uniquely tough first-round matchup. I saw Bryant in person twice last week. They have the sixth tallest team in Division I with 3 or 4 P4 transfers who transferred down so that they could be stars. They got the Conference Player of the Year on their team. They got the Newcomer of the Year, Coach of the Year. I think that's going to be a tough first-round matchup for Michigan State. Don't be surprised if Bryant gives them a little bit of a game. But I do like them in this side of the bracket. The team I don't trust is the 1 seed, Auburn. I was surprised at how I'm not going to say they fell off, okay, because they play in the number 1 conference in the country. Every game is ranked, in the Final Four of that SEC tournament. You had Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama.
Tough.
All of those are top 3 seeds. So I'm not going to say they fell off because they lost some of those games. I'm just going to say I don't trust them as much as I did midway through the season.
See, it's funny you say that too. So going back to the Michigan State, another team that gave them tough that has a lot of bigs, the arch rival Michigan. They got those 2 7-footers down there. Look what happened. Because I didn't think that much of Michigan. They went on to beat Michigan State, go on to win a Big Ten championship, and look at them now. But that size could give them a problem. That's why we got you on here, Shoot, for that insight. You know what I'm talking about? It's funny you mentioned Auburn because, see, I got them. I think they've learned a lesson. And I know what you're talking about. They lost 3 out of the last 4. They have sputtered as of sorts down the stretch, but I just think they learned a lesson from last year. I saw Bruce Pearl up here in D.C. last spring. And I asked him about it. He said, yeah, I think we learned our lesson then. They went and got some guys. They have the talent on the roster. They just really have to put it all together. I just have to have faith that they sick from last year, from Yale beating them last year, won me some money. So I wasn't mad about that. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. They're definitely in an interesting predicament, and they're definitely at a crossroads on where that program wants to be. Jerm, what you got?
And I have a question. So we're going to call you Matt today. And FYI to all the viewers, we're very good friends and have been, all three of us, since college. And so we usually always call Schu by his last name, his nickname, his last name Schumacker, his nickname being Schu. So we'll keep it with Matt since that's what's on the screen. But I have a quick question about North Carolina, as they quote unquote snuck in as well. A little bit of controversy there because their athletic director, correct me if I'm wrong, is also a chairman on the selection committee, correct? And so there's a little bit of conflict of interest there. He got a $104,000 bonus if they make the tournament. He's also on he's on the selection committee, but they claimed he wasn't in the room while they were discussing North Carolina.
Sure.
What's going on with this?
Your guess is as good as mine, Jeremy. I mean, I think like that obviously blew up yesterday on Twitter, and everybody started picking it up. Barstool Sports was blasting that out, and you know everybody likes a good conspiracy theory. Yeah. This one is interesting because you look at UNC's resume, it didn't really hold up with the other teams that were sort of in that last four in, first four out category.
IU, West Virginia.
Yeah. I think West Virginia not getting in is a crime. I think that's the biggest snub of the tournament. I think Indiana certainly had an argument to be in. You know, the thing about Indiana is everyone said they had to beat Oregon in the conference tournament, and that would solidify their bid. I felt like North Carolina had to beat Duke without Cooper Flagg to solidify themselves. And when they didn't do it, I thought that's it. You know, there's too many other teams that have a better at-large resume, but it's Carolina. The name holds a lot of weight.
Yep.
And I don't know. We get told obviously what the selection criteria is, and the committee tries to be very transparent about it. But at the end of the day, it's human beings that are making the decisions.
Right.
Everybody knows North Carolina being in the tournament is better for the tournament.
Right. Because
of the brand and the viewership and the interest and all that. My biggest question is, do they even get out of the first four? That's not a gimme.
Who do they have the first round?
So Carolina's first round, Henson, help me out. Who is it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm looking it up right now too. I have it pulled up. They have San Diego State.
Yeah, San Diego
Final
State.
Four contributor from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Well, participant a couple of years ago. Yeah, I've seen Carolina play a couple times. They were playing for Hubert's job. Now,
yes.
Will he keep it? I don't think they'll get out of the first four, to be honest with you. Will he keep his job after that? We'll see, but at least he got a little gift from God for now, so he get to keep a job a little bit. A couple more checks at least.
You know, it's so interesting because about you asking about Hubert's job, because I think the amount of openings at the Power Four level this year is crazy. There's 3 or 4 in the Big Ten. Obviously, the ACC has filled 1 or 2, but a lot of question marks still in the ACC. The biggest job in the Big East, Villanova, that's open.
Yeah.
So there's and then, you know, Iowa with Fran McCaffrey leaving, like there's a lot of turnover.
Indiana's about to be gone. Mike Woodson, that's about to be open.
Yeah, like there's some very prestigious jobs that are open this year. So if I'm North Carolina, I maybe hang on one more year with Hubert, see what happens, because there's so much open elsewhere.
Right.
Blue bloods open elsewhere that you got to compete, you know.
What do you think about Louisville seeding? You know, they had a pretty good run in their conference tourney, and then they get the 8 seed versus number 9 Creighton. Ugh.
Yeah, that's an elite 8-9 matchup. That I think 8 seed for Louisville is the embodiment of the narrative around the ACC all year. which is that the league is down. And that, like, UNC, we're talking about shouldn't have gotten in. They're the 4th team. So really, ACC should have had 3 teams in this year.
Mm-hmm.
Duke, Clemson, Louisville. Those are the only 3 teams all year that you could have said that's a lock. You know, Pitt was ranked at the beginning of the year. Then they lost like 13 of the last 16 games or something like that. Completely fell off. North Carolina kind of fell off. Wake Forest never had that signature win. So the league this year was not as strong as it has been in years past. I think that's why Louisville's the 8. But if there's one 8-9 game that I'm like, I gotta watch that, it's Louisville Creighton.
Yeah. That's a tough one to pick right there, too. I'm probably staying away from that one.
Well, think about it. Those 2 teams lost in their conference championship
finals.
games. So you got teams that were 1 win away from being a conference champion, and they're playing each other in the first round. That's high level.
Yeah. And Creighton was a lot closer than that score indicated, because they were going back and forth all the way up really to the last 5 minutes of that. And Creighton obviously got the big boy in the middle with the defense. So
Kalkbrenner.
Yeah, Kalkbrenner. That's right. He's tough in there. Let's go to a different side of the bracket. Let me tell you a team who I like, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, Shu. I don't like Oregon. I do like Liberty. Oregon's just kind of to me. Liberty, they had a couple losses in February. They avenged both those losses. I don't know. It just seems like a nice 5-12 matchup that they can maybe sneak out. What do you think?
I agree. I saw Liberty this year in February. Yeah. Or no, late January maybe. And I think that's a solid mid-major team out of Conference USA. It's not the best league, but they have shooters and they have guys that can create off the dribble. I think in the NCAA tournament, guard play is number 1. And you look at like some of the schools that have created the biggest upsets in recent years in the NCAA tournament, they all had great guard play, guys that could score and create themselves. And when you have such little time to prepare for these teams, that's hard to defend.
Yeah. Guard play and then defense too. It's crazy. It goes a long way. And I also think in this NCAA tournament versus other years, it's pretty cool that all these transfers are happening. So, like, I feel like the level of the playing field is like starting to even out versus a decade ago where it was top heavy. We knew Kentucky was going to be there. We knew North Carolina was going to be there. We knew Duke was going to be there. Now, sure, some of those top heavy teams are still going to be there, but I do think it's a lot more even now, which is really cool to see, especially from a viewer standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, we talked about Bryant a little bit earlier. That's a perfect example of, multiple guys on that team transferring down from the Power 4 level. Like, they're, a mid-major, but they're not a mid-major roster. And so people might think, like, who is Bryant that they can compete with Michigan State? Just look at who is on their roster. So I agree with you. I think from a parity standpoint, the transfer portal has been really good for college basketball.
And should we talk a lot about momentum too? How important is momentum coming in these tournaments? Just guys, this team's playing well down the stretch together, as opposed to maybe coming in discombobulated.
I think it matters. I think that's why I like Xavier. They went on a crazy run in February and March. Narrow loss with Marquette in the quarterfinal of the Big East tournament. I think it was a 2-point loss, super high scoring game. 2 NCAA tournament teams, both worthy of being in the field. I think momentum matters. I don't trust the teams that have like just snuck in. You know what I mean? Now, granted, you could look a few years back when UCLA went first 4 to Final 4, but that was the COVID year. So there's an asterisk on that anyway. I think personally, I maybe put too much weight on momentum, but like you guys know, because you played college sports, there's a certain juju about the team when you start rolling off some wins, you start feeling like Superman almost.
Yeah.
Now let me read off the top 4 teams in the East, because I think the East is probably the most competitive in my eyes. Duke number 1, Bama number 2. I lost my spot. Bama number 2, Wisconsin 3, Arizona 4. I mean, any one of those teams really to me could end up in the Final 4. I don't love Duke, and now he's got the tweaked ankle. Is it up for grabs? Any of those teams especially vulnerable?
See, the thing is, I like Duke a lot. I think they proved. Now, granted, the ACC's down this year. Okay, but that aside, they won the championship game, beating their rival for a third time in a row without the best player in college basketball. Then they went and beat, albeit a short-handed Louisville team. They didn't have Rain Smith, sharpshooter from Australia, tremendous player. But they showed me a lot winning that. And the guy that nobody talks about is Malik Brown, defensive stud for Duke. He didn't play in those last two games either. So I think if you get both of those guys back, even if Cooper Flag's not 100, they're going to be hard pressed not to make a run to the Elite Eight, I think. And then once you're in the Elite Eight, you hope his ankle's better because it's 2 weeks removed from the injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually, in that side of the bracket, watch out for Vanderbilt. They're a 10 seed. They gave a lot of teams in the SEC a run for their money this year. I had them on the road at Florida in February. Of course, we all know Florida just went on and won the SEC tournament. Vanderbilt had a chance to win that game. And they have guys who have won at a super high level. AJ Hogard being one of them, former Michigan State player, has played in now 5 NCAA tournaments. Watch out for the Commodores.
Okay. Speaking of Florida, let's go out to West. Florida's #1 seed out West. I think this might be the most in terms of talent-wise. Now, the East I thought was most up for grabs just because of questions. But the West, they got Florida as #1, who I actually don't love because we've seen them get tested at times. Yeah. But St. John's, I'm gonna tell you right now, they got them in the Final Four. Quite frankly, I got them in the Natty.
Whoa!
I love the Johnnies.
Hot take.
We know Mizzou has been up and down, but pretty hot over the season. Maryland's got a couple of kids out there. Memphis plays well. They got Texas Tech over here out West. Dude, out West, they're going to be playing some ball. Shoot, what do you like about them? What do you like about this side of the bracket? What don't you like about this side of the bracket?
I agree with you. That's loaded. That side of the bracket is loaded. I think Florida got themselves the 1 seed because of what they did in the SEC tournament. I would not be shocked if they don't make the Final Four. Because of what you're talking about. I think their Final Four good. I just think their road is very difficult. You mentioned St. John's. You want to talk about a team with Juju. They won their first Big East championship in 20 years.
Hey, they're rolling.
It's crazy. And they won the regular season, which I think is even harder. That league is a true round robin. You got to play everybody twice. It's a tough league with multiple teams in the big dance again this year.
East won the last 2 natties with UConn too, so don't let it fool you.
And by the way, UConn could potentially play Florida in the second round if they both win their first round games. So you're taking on the back-to-back defending national champs. Ooh. Now they look a lot different. Yeah. But still.
They still got that in their belt though.
No doubt. It's in the DNA. But guys, the first round matchup on the West that I'm looking at, Bill Self, John Calipari, Kansas, Arkansas. Come on. That's elite right there. That's elite.
That's a national title. Those two, that coaching matchup's a national title, and any of the past probably 10 years too. Who you got winning that one?
I got Arkansas.
Yeah, me too.
I got Arkansas. This is a team, we talk about momentum. They played themselves into the NCAA tournament with how they finished the year. They were not a tournament team in January.
No.
And then the last month and a half of the season, John Cal and his guys, a lot of new players, new staff, everything. They found a rhythm that they didn't have at the beginning of the year. I like them to upset Kansas in the first round.
Yeah, Kansas. I mean, how many games did they lose at home? You're not used to seeing Kansas lose at home during the season at all. They lost at least 1, not 2, I thought.
They have never been higher than a 4 seed in Bill Self's tenure there. And this year they're a 7.
Yeah.
The Big 12 this year was damn good. And so I think Houston, I know we're going to talk Midwest region soon. Houston, that's a bear. I think their Final Four good. I think they're national champion good this year.
Yeah, no, I think Houston's pretty good. I got them in my Final Four, to be honest with you. And I've heard some teams, people talk about, we'll get to Houston in a second. But Jerm, who you like out here out west, Jerm? Anything you like in that side of the bracket? Who sticks out?
Hold on. Go ahead and pull it up for me. Go ahead and pull it up for me, Hitson.
So we're gonna read off the first couple names. So we got Florida playing versus Norfolk State. Let's be honest. Last time, a couple times ago, Norfolk State was in the tourney. They beat off of number 2 Mizzou, and Mizzou people won't let you forget about that. Got UConn, Oklahoma, Memphis, Colorado State, Maryland versus Grand Canyon. Now Grand Canyon's another interesting one. They got not Scott Drew. They got what's his brother's name? Bryce Drew, Valpo Hero hitting the game winner. 98 in the tourney in 98 to help Valpo lift their spirits. They still talk about that. Mizzou versus Drake. I think we all know which way we're going with this one. We hate Drake, love Mizzou, just out of passion. Tech versus UNC Wilmington, Kansas, Arkansas, and then the Johnnies play Omaha.
Honestly, I'm glad we got Shu on the call today because I don't follow college basketball as closely as I should, but I'm familiar with Drake, and Mizzou is. I know I'm married to a Mizzou woman, but hey, Drake Mizzou, hot take. Let's get Drake. Let's go Bulldogs.
Wow. Hey, don't tell Mrs. Stevens.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm posting it. And you picked Drake? Drake.
Let's get it. Somebody got to lose. Somebody.
All right, let's go out Midwest. Houston's the number 1 seed. You know what? And let's talk about who Houston's playing. Shu, I know that they got a special place in your heart.
Southern Illinois, Edwardsville. First trip to the big dance ever for SIUE, who not that long ago stepped up from Division II.
Right. That's a good point. And for those who don't know, SIUE is like the commuter school, one of 2 main commuter schools in St. Louis. So definitely got that vibe. Some people
I was going to ask, where is that?
Illinois, like 30 minutes north of St. Louis.
Okay.
But some people I've heard some grumblings that Houston could be an easy out, an easy upset. If SIUE does that,
no way.
It would never happen.
No way.
Calvin Sampson would never let that happen.
Here's why.
Those boys are dreaming.
I'm just going to tell you right now, Houston's the number 2 defense in the country, according to Ken Pom. There is no way they lose to SIUE. The one thing about Houston is that at times their offense can be a little suspect. Yeah. That being said, they're top 10 in offensive efficiency as well, according to the same, Ken Pomeroy. So I don't see them losing in the first round. I actually like their path. And this may sound crazy, but I like their path to the Elite 8 better than most 1 seeds, maybe other than Duke, just because I think Duke is actually the best team in the country. And I think if Cooper Flag's healthy, they win the national championship. But I think Houston, the one team in their side of the Midwest that I think could be problematic is Clemson. Clemson returns a bunch of guys from last year's run of the Elite 8. They have some old, hard-nosed players that
beat Duke this year too.
Yeah, exactly. They're the only team in the ACC to beat Duke this year. Granted, it was at home, but still, that's got to count for something. Yeah. So I like Clemson a lot. I love their coach. I wouldn't be surprised if their coach, Brad Brownell's name is in the mix at Indiana when Clemson season's over because he's from Evansville. He's a really good coach. I think an underrated coach. I like Clemson to make a little noise as the 5 seed in the Midwest.
That's funny. Yeah, one other team I want to give an honorable mention to, and Clemson's going to play them, probably going to knock them out too. Have you seen the McNeese State?
Yes.
The manager, what they call him? They call him Oricon.
Carries out the big boom box.
He got the big box out the locker room with the big boom box. He's getting the team hype. Jeremy, you got to look him up, man. Okay. Hey, he might be the hero of March Madness this year, especially if McNeese wins a game.
Yeah. Well, they're coached by a former Power 4 coach too, Will Wade. Yeah. And McNeese is a school you got to watch out for them. Like I think if If
They
they
beat
beat
Lamar in the championship game.
if they beat
Shout
Clemson,
out to Beaumont.
maybe they go on a little run. Shout out to Beaumont.
Shout out.
The Magnies did win. They had a big win. Yeah, Will Wade, we know he left LSU under some unscrupulous circumstances, but hey, it's a new day and age, and if you can coach ball, you can coach ball. All that the NIL eradicated a lot of that. Ask Calvin Sampson.
Yeah.
So what do you think about? Yeah, and I agree with you with the path. Houston, who the next biggest team would be Purdue. That's a 4 seed. Who, not the Purdue teams of the past couple of years. They're cool, but they don't have Edie anymore. They don't have a lot of those guards they used to. Even though they do have what's his name, Camden. Well, he was on one of the All Big Ten teams. But it's a beatable Purdue team. What about on the bottom side of that Midwest though? You got Tennessee there. They're tough. Kentucky, they're a tough team, in a tough SEC. What do you think about a couple of them, those SEC dogs there?
I think Tennessee's a really tough out. I was surprised at how they got beat in the semifinal by Florida. I think, they're another one of those teams that sometimes, like, you don't trust them offensively, but defensively, they're as hard a team to play against as anybody in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned at the top of the pod, I actually think Xavier as the 11 seed is somebody you got to keep an eye on, assuming they beat Texas. But if they beat Texas in the first 4, I actually have Xavier making a little run to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, really. See, I like that too because, I saw Texas when they beat Texas. I mean, not Texas State, when they beat A&M in the SEC tourney rivalry game. A&M, I got them getting out early, to be honest with you. They were up on the rival Texas in the tourney, and they were up. It was double digits. Like, it was over. I look up. It's like a 3-point ball game. Texas, another team playing for their coach's life because he was gone if they didn't make the tourney. Quite frankly, if they didn't beat A&M then to get into the tourney or whatever, their coach would have been fired too. So credit to them for battling back. But hey, the dream's over. March is the place for teams where dreams come to die, and their dream is over.
The funny thing about March Madness, like a guy like me that pays attention to college basketball probably more than 99% of people just because of my job, versus Germ, who watches more NBA than any of us.
Yeah.
He probably will have a better bracket than me because, like you come into March Madness with all this knowledge, all that knowledge can get you into trouble.
Because you're thinking too logically.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. That's true. I'm going to fill mine out today and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And like, dude, you hear these stories about, people who like in office brackets who just pick based on colors or mascots or whatever, and they do better than the person who follows it from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the beauty of March Madness.
That's true. Do we have any 13 through 16 seeds who could potentially make a deep run?
Well, I don't know about a deep run, but I'm telling you right now, I would not be
deep. I would say we'll stop at least to the Elite Eight.
Let's give me Sweet 16, Elite Eight. That's cool.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. People are gonna think I'm crazy because of who their first round matchup is. I think Bryant is a team. They score a ridiculous. They scored over 80 points per game in league play. They scored 90 plus in 3 straight games in their conference tournament. They beat everybody in their league by 10 or more at least once. Only team in the league to do that. They are long. They defend. They block a ton of shots. They're top 10 in the country in block shots. They're a problem. And like, I think, Michigan State as the 2 seed, you would expect them to have a little bit of an easier road in the first round. I would be shocked if that game is not tight until the end. And then if Michigan State pulls it out, cool. If they don't and Bryant wins, watch out. That's a team that could go on a little run.
Yeah, really. If they beat Bryant, then they got to play winner of Marquette, New Mexico. That'll be a tough game. Then they get an Ole Miss. They can get Iowa State. Yeah, they didn't get any favors over there at all.
No. But I actually think if Michigan State beats Bryant, the next round is harder than their Sweet 16 matchup.
Yeah, I do too.
I think the winner of Marquette, New Mexico, that's a dogfight.
Yeah.
And then I just don't I don't trust Iowa State's offense. We know TJ Otzelberger's defense. I mean, he's like a wrestling coach coaching basketball. Like he's just a hard-nosed basketball coach. But I just don't think they can score with Michigan State. That's my 2 cents.
Nah, that's a good one. Yeah, Michigan State. I liked them a lot down the stretch. I like that Jace Richardson, the son of Jason Richardson. Yeah, he's been at the games. He plays, and Michigan State's always been built. They've had that one guy they can trust. Even going back to the Draymond days, I remember Draymond when he was in March Madness. I mean, he was eating it up. Tough team, hard nosed team. Izzo. He knows March, and that's one of his recruiting pitches. Hey, you come here, we're gonna get you. You're gonna have some success in March if you stay at least a couple of years, and it could be this year. So that's good to see. Shu, any final thoughts on the brackets? Anything people should know with the March Madness? Anything else you didn't get to say that you want to circle back to?
I think Duke is the national champion, and I don't think they'll have a problem getting to the Final Four. Like I'm not sure that they'll even be tested.
Yeah.
If Cooper Flag's healthy.
Right.
I just think they're too good, man. They're too good. That's my final thought.
How many NBA guys do they have outside of Flag?
Well, all 3 freshmen are supposed to be first-round picks.
Yeah.
So, it kind of reminds you of like John Calipari's teams.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah,
Jeremy. Like
sure.
back in the day when Kentucky really had it rolling with like Anthony Davis and them. The Anthony Fox, or is it De'Aaron Fox? De'Aaron Fox. Yeah.
Malik Monk.
Right.
Keep going.
Exactly. No, exactly. That's kind of the vibe I get from this Duke team this year. And then they have like just the perfect complementary older guys transferring in to shore up those like glue guy positions that every team needs.
Wow. No wonder Cooper Flag can sit out. They got first rounders everywhere.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Flag is he's such a dude. We want him bad here in DC. Go ahead, Flag. You'll be that number one. Let's get that lottery pick.
Y'all gonna get him too. Y'all gonna get him. Don't worry. Y'all gonna get him.
Hey, Jerm, you never know with the ping pong balls, man.
That's true. Really. I know. It's not like the NFL. I know.
No.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
There's too much chance when you start tanking it.
Right. That's true. That's true. Because you're those ping pong balls with like 9 other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, one thing we like to do to close out the podcast, we like to take a bet of the week. And what would be yours? You say what? Dookie's in it, or give us one bet, something somebody can put $5 on and maybe get a couple bucks back.
All right. I mean, Duke's too easy, so let me just look at this bracket one more time.
Yeah, take a good look. I think I got mine together. I'll say mine. I got A&M gone. They are a 4. Hold on, I'm pulling them back up. Yeah, you know what? Because I got Yale. Yale did it last year for me. I'm running it back. Yale beat Auburn last year in the first round. I think it was a 5-12, or I can't remember exactly what Auburn was. They were definitely both 5. I'm gonna get Yale beating A&M. That's a 4-13. A&M, don't like them down the stretch. Hey, thanks for showing up, but not sad to see you go either. Right. Give me Yale money line. I'm sure you can get decent odds, and I'm trying to get paid out.
Go ahead, Jerm.
Yeah, and just based on this conversation, I'm not going to go Bryant money line, but I'm going to take Bryant to cover against Michigan State. That's what I'm going with.
What's the line on that?
Ooh, it's a good question.
I'll pull it up.
I wonder if they've even said it yet. It might still be
probably not.
All right. Well, while you're looking that up, here's one to watch. Don't come after me if you lose money on this game, though. All right. Colorado State upsetting Memphis first round.
No.
Watch out for the Mountain West champs.
No.
Colorado State Rams taking down a Memphis team that this year has shown, Henson, they play down to their competition.
Maybe.
They mess around too much for me. In the American Athletic Conference tournament, there were some close games that should not have been close. 3-point win over Tulane in the semifinal, and I can't remember who Memphis played in the championship game, UAB, but that game was close too.
Yeah, it was close too. And Colorado State just blew out Boise State because Boise was on the bubble. And then I look up at the score and they were down like 20-something. It was ugly. And I was like, Man, maybe Colorado.
Hey, look,
State is real.
Mountain West, I don't know if you can call that a mid-major conference because they have football. If they are a mid-major conference, they're the best in the country. I mean, that basketball league is unbelievable. And for Colorado State to finish second in the regular season and then win the conference championship tournament, watch out for them beating Penny Hardaway's Memphis Tigers. And I like Penny a lot.
Yeah.
But I just think Colorado State's that's a nasty 12-5 matchup.
Yeah. And to answer your question, to answer your question about what the line is, it's plus 17.5 for Bryant versus Michigan State.
Hell no. I don't think so.
So that's easy?
I think it is. I could have recency bias because I just saw Bryant twice last week. But
plus 17.5.
No way. I don't think.
They'll cover that.
I think they cover that.
Yeah, they'll cover that. Yeah. They'll cover that.
I mean, that's an extreme blowout.
Dude, I don't even bet on sports. But if I was a betting man, I would say 100% take that.
They'll keep that close.
Wow. Okay. All right. Good to know. That's my bet of the week.
Henson, watch this. Brian's going to be down 30. Jerm's going to be calling me.
Like, what the heck? I thought you knew what you were doing.
Oh, man.
Oh, good.
Well, shoot. Well, we'll wrap that up now. That's a special March Madness, a Ball N Biz. Special thanks to Shoe Dog stopping in with us, helping us out, helping us, get our mind right for this special month, special next couple of weeks we got coming up right here with March Madness. We'll be checking back in. Shoe also on the side. He also is in real estate as well. We probably will have him back on to talk a little bit about that, especially, as we get to some of these more money topics over the spring and summer. So don't be surprised if he's back on the podcast with the boys.
Would love it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Right on.
Well, now that's all for Ball N Biz. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Jeremy.
See ya.
Peace.